It's like a brunch place. I can find it quicker.
You want to give it about 5 minutes and then get started. Oh, boy.
So you were gonna write a grant?
I'm not a grant writer.
Oh, I was gonna tell you. I was curious. But you're gonna look for it.
Yeah. I have somebody
Let me
else
know if
that.
you need help.
Yes, I will definitely. I'm definitely going to need some help with that.
I'm busy, but I'll be willing to guide you if
Okay.
you need it.
Okay. I'm definitely going to need help, and we got time.
Yeah.
Hold on. I gotta send somebody this link. Where is JR? There we go. There it is.
Good evening.
Hey there.
Good evening.
Hello.
Okay. It's coming together. Give a few more minutes. Wait for one more other person, then we'll get started. Trying to find one of my videos to show. One second, I gotta send one more person.
And I look washed. Should we just turn on the other one? That's better.
So thank you for joining me on this live stream here on StreamYard. This is a good test run of what we're going to be doing in the future. Part of our discussion and destination series, and on this one, we're going to be talking about Dubai, specifically as we prepare for the Afrozone Dubai Sound Off in March 2022. Um, so, as we get started here, I just brought on of some guests here. Tracy Thompson. She recently traveled with us to Dubai in December, and we have Fred and Shayna as well. They traveled with us in September. Well, they actually traveled along with their own group in September. So they're going to start off, get us kicked off first with sharing their experience traveling to Dubai during the pandemic. I'm sure they had a lot of questions and concerns and things of that nature, just as you had prior to going to Dubai. I'm sure to say this was both of their first times traveling to Dubai. Tracy, if you want to go ahead and get started, and let us know how. I know. Well, it was recently, about 3 weeks ago. You went to Dubai with us. We left
The, I left on the third.
on the third. So
Yes.
left on the third, arrived on the fourth,
Yes.
and we were there for about 6 nights with a
Yes.
group of about 26 other people.
Yes.
So tell me some of your. Let's start off with this. Some of your thoughts about Dubai prior to going, um, and then you can get into some of the things that your thoughts after actually flying, getting tested, being there, and some of the experiences you had while being in Dubai.
Okay, so I will try and summarize this entire thing. um, Very eager. Started counting down probably 2 weeks before Thanksgiving and was counting down to, oh my God, it's almost here because we had been planning it off and on and we finally decided to go. So once we did that, just, the regular payment arrangements and things like that. And making last minute decisions. Is that correct, Mr. Williams, about what we
Yes,
wanted to do when we got there?
yes,
And he was very gracious to accommodate that. But once we actually got to the dates, we were very excited to make the trip. Planned for the plane with lots of snacks and even the socks. And I'm gonna tell you, I never even used my socks, but I did have them because it's supposed to be a long flight. So we were just real eager and excited to experience it because we had heard so many people talk about Dubai who have been to Dubai. I know people who had been several times, at least 3 or 4 times. And the last time that they went, they literally just relaxed because they had did so much the first 2 times that they went. So I was looking forward to all that. So we finally make the trip. We get there. The plane ride was very long, but we had lots of good food. They were very accommodating, and it was a good trip. Flight over it rather. Once we got there, we did have to wait a little bit, but our transportation arrangement was there. I mean, we didn't have any issues with that. He was there. We just had to wait for some other people who were actually there as well, but we all just kind of were in different locations, but we got that straight and it was fine. We
let
made
me
it.
ask you this testing
Yes.
process. How did that go for you as far as testing? At the time, we had to test, what,
We had to test
72
three
hours before
days,
departure?
three
Yeah,
days prior to departure. I was nervous, as you remember,
yes,
as my tests didn't come back until almost 6:30 that
yeah,
evening, but I was
yeah.
packed 2 days ago, so I was like, I'm getting on somebody's plane. I'm going to make it. But yes, so we definitely had to do that. And you all's trip is later on, so hopefully it won't be as bad as it is now because nowadays uh, testing sites are long, the lines are long, it's the process is long. But we got it done. We got it done in time and received my results back in time.
Okay. And And then, as far as the process of going to the airport, checking in, showing your test results and things
Yeah.
like that, was that complicated? Was it pretty
Nope.
smooth? Okay,
All they did, it was interesting because all they did was took the card, looked at it, and gave it back to you. That was it. That's all they did.
okay,
Didn't
okay,
ask for
good,
any
good.
additional information or anything.
Okay,
That was going, but coming back, it was a slightly different.
okay. Now, getting there, you said the arrival, your transportation was there and everything.
Mhm.
Um, what was some of the things that thought of? Well, let's get into just some of your experiences. Let's talk about maybe like day one. What were some of the things that you? Um,
Well, immediately, um, we went to
I think
we
we
as
did the
soon as we
Dubai
get
City
here,
tour.
we well because we had additional people, so you all met us at the airport.
Yes.
Um, and then we took off on our extra. We were ready to go. We already had things planned out as soon as we got there because you can't check in for a while, so
Yeah.
that was pretty good time usage. So yeah, where
And
did
that and,
you go
and that's
first?
one thing with Dubai. A lot of the flights get there very early,
Yeah.
so like 8 in the morning. So it's quite often what we do is um, we wind up kind of getting the ball started early because if you get there at 8 o'clock in the morning, the standard check-in time, which is very universal, is not till 3 p.m. So a lot of times we'll schedule a tour that first day. And
Mm.
sometimes it worries me because I know people taking a 12-hour flight and I'll be worried about them getting off the flight and just jumping right into the mix of things. But we normally schedule a tour that first day only because of the fact that, I wouldn't want to be sitting around the hotel waiting for, 8 hours to get checked in. And I'm sure many people are the same way. Was that, although we did leave from the airport and go straight on a tour, was that exhausting? I mean, how was that for you?
It wasn't exhausting at first because you were so excited to be there and you were ready
Hmm.
to start, being a part of what's involved and what's set up for you. So it wasn't exhausting at first, but by the time we got checked in, it was like, okay, I need to just take a shower and just relax for a minute. But I want to see. I'm looking out my hotel window and I'm like, what's out there? Let's go look. But there was something else scheduled, so it made good use of the time.
Hmm.
So I was fine with it.
Okay, good, good, good. And as far as just randomly, tell me of just some of your few other experiences and some of your thoughts. As far as what you thought going, and then as you got there, what was your thoughts?
So the way I've been telling it to people, it's a must do. It's a must do. It's a must see. It's a must experience. Something to say, yeah, been there, done that. And there are a lot of people, like I said, if you're into shopping and buying things and just seeing some new culture, experiencing somebody else's culture, it's a good place to go and visit. Um, I'm not much of a shopper, but I love going to visit different countries and places to experience their culture. So I enjoyed everything that we did and partaked in, that we participated in. So that was interesting for me, especially the malls. That was interesting. Um, I especially loved the tea. That was nice. And
Hmm.
we visited the house. I can't remember what that was called, but it was just going to visit a center where they talked about the culture and the history of the city of Dubai. So that was interesting. So a lot of those things that you don't normally do if you go to places like I was telling Mr. Williams, if you're just going to the beach and sitting down and listening to the water. So it was interesting. There were a lot of other things that we did that were very, very nice to be a part of.
Okay. And as
Mhm.
far as dress or anything like that, was there any concern for you as far as
No,
uh, what you had to wear and?
no, there was no. The weather there was beautiful. There was no precipitation anywhere in sight. It was. I think we only needed a jacket when we were on the bus.
Okay.
Even
Yeah.
even when we went to the desert, I was told that at the desert we would need a jacket,
Yeah.
but the desert was fine.
Okay.
It was fine at the
And let
desert.
me see. So this was December. What was the weather like for you there, December? I mean, if you had to say an average temperature during
It
the
was
day.
about 70s,
Okay. Okay.
a nice 70s.
All right.
So I can't imagine what March is. March is probably going to be warmer,
Yeah.
much warmer.
So typically March is probably about 85
Yeah.
during the day and probably 70 at night.
So you
So it
you won't even need a
gets a
jacket.
bit warmer.
Like I said, it's
Yeah.
probably colder on the transportation than it is out in the elements. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was
But
nice.
overall, you
I I
would you recommend it?
I would recommend, again, if you've never been, I would recommend it. It's interesting. It's something to experience, and most of us are from the States, so we visited a lot of the places that they have, which they everything is bigger and better there. So if you've been to some of the um, attractions in the States, it's going to see those attractions, but much bigger. And
Mhm.
like I was explaining to Mr. Williams before, if you're into architecture, this place is beautiful with architecture. I mean, the buildings there are gorgeous. So it's a
Yeah,
sight to see.
it very is.
It's a sight to
At
see,
night and especially at day, especially at night.
and especially at night.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you had to point out one thing that was your highlight of the tour of the trip for you, what would that be?
Mm, it had to be the brunch, sir. I'm not sure if
Wow.
they're coming in on that Friday, but it had to be the
Wow.
brunch. And okay, so then outside the brunch, I did enjoy the jewelry,
Uh-huh.
the shopping for the jewelry because I bought lots of bangles.
Uh-huh.
That was nice. And again, I think I literally enjoyed the tea and the culture, visiting the cultural center.
Why the brunch? What I mean, what was it about the brunch? Explain what is
So
just a little explanation about brunch in Dubai.
So the
Friday?
brunch that we luckily got to participate in, it was, if you've ever been to, is it the Bahamas where the Atlantis is?
Yes.
It's a replica of the Atlantis in the Bahamas, and they have this brunch, and the brunch is pretty much, it has food from around the world, and it has all kinds of beverages that most people like to indulge in and spirits. So they have all these little stations, and the music was awesome. The DJ was off the chain. And I know
Okay.
I'm dating myself when I say that, but it was lively. And we literally, you could literally just enjoy yourself eating and drinking and listening to music for, was it 2 hours? Two
4 hours.
two and a half
Typically the brunch
hours.
is like from 1 to 4.
Yeah. And the
Uh,
Atlantis is beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And the brunch there is a like a it's a celebration for them. It's a celebration every Friday,
Yes.
all around Dubai, every hotel, um, literally every hotel. So there's probably about 100 different brunches that goes on every Friday from 1 to 4 in Dubai. And for Dubai, their Friday is like our Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's a celebration of the end of the work week. And when I say they celebrate, they really, really celebrate. So this particular one, I've been to probably about 4 or 5 different ones throughout the time. And this particular one is called Saffrons at the Atlantis. But they have brunches for every type of like atmosphere that you could think of. If you want to turn up and party, definitely that one she went to Saffrons is definitely one.
It
If
was
you want like a more of a laid back jazz type environment, they have that as well. If you want something truly upscale, just kind of bougie and biscuit and teas, you could go to Burj Al Arab, you have that as well. So literally almost every hotel there they have a brunch
they
going on every
actually,
Friday.
I'm sorry.
Hmm.
They actually dressed for that one. I felt a little underdressed. I was like, oh, I could have put on
Yeah,
my good stuff.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that.
And
And
it
you know what else I forgot to mention was the expo. I
yes,
I thoroughly enjoyed the expo.
yeah.
My traveling partner set it out a little bit, but she visited some things. But I think I went in to visit more exhibits than she did, and I
Hmm.
enjoyed that as well.
Would you recommend the expo?
I would.
Yeah,
It's not for everybody, and bring your walking shoes for the city of Dubai.
yeah, yes,
Bring your walking shoes and be prepared to walk.
yes.
Okay.
Walk, walk,
And
walk.
I actually experienced the metro and the tram. That was
Wow.
nice too.
So you got a lot in. Do you think 6 nights is enough time to really experience, enjoy?
It is. It
Okay,
is.
good,
It
good,
is. And you
good.
won't, I mean, and while you can enjoy the food, oh my God, the lamb was delicious. They have American food, so don't fret.
And they got food for everybody. And they
Yes.
got and if you don't like Arabic food, you ain't gotta worry about it because it's Shake Shacks, McDonald's, Burger King,
Yes.
Pizza Hut, everything you can. Even some of the I was surprised they had a duck donuts there.
Yeah.
So every
I
little
didn't
thing you
see
could
that.
think of, they have it. And
Mhm.
so a lot of those things we will be able to experience in March when we go in March, because the expo will. That's the last month of the expo.
Yeah, well.
I think the Global Village will still be going on, which is seasonal.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I know it's a lot.
Global Village, it
Yeah,
wasn't a do for me, but I will recommend getting that honey. I got the
uh-huh.
honey with the ginger, and I will be asking someone to bring me some back. Come on.
Yes, I got you. I got you. I
That
got you.
that was again, if you like to shop, that's a good place to stop by.
Yeah.
That's a nice place. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Tracy. I appreciate you. I know you got up early this morning, so I really thank you for
All
coming
right.
on and
You're welcome.
sharing your experience. And we got more to come next in the next couple of years. So
Yes.
you're
I
a
will
part of the
be a part.
family now. So
Mhm.
looking forward to you coming and traveling with us again.
All right, sir.
Thanks again. So right now,
All
next I'm going to have up
right.
is Fred
I'll
and
yeah.
Shayna.
Mhm.
And Fred and Shayna is actually they are a very, very special couple for me because little do they know they're probably one of the, if not the first booking I ever made as a travel agent. So
Ah.
they don't even know that. And there is I set something up for them for their honeymoon. Wow, this was quite some time ago,
Six
and
and a
uh,
half years ago.
and I think from my understanding, I kind of ruined uh, how they vacation for the rest of their lives with the butler service. So they
Yeah.
are their bar has been quite raised when they travel. So
No,
they
we are
travel.
we are actually spoiled, Norman.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
lazy.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes. And we even had a little bit of that treatment in Dubai as well.
yeah.
So they traveled to Dubai with a group of their friends for a friend of theirs 40th birthday. Fortunately, they hit me up and they was like, "Oh, we traveled with our friends, but we want you to kind of put together our package for us." And I was excited. I think at the time I don't know, was Fred a little apprehensive about Dubai or just the whole? Anyway, so we
Yeah.
got
He's
they hit me up,
less
nice
interested.
little package. They kind of actually stayed a little ways from the group. I mean, they did everything with their group, but and they stayed in one of my favorite areas of Dubai. And I'm not even gonna talk anymore. I'm gonna let them share their experience. Traveling to Dubai for the first time, traveling as a couple, and traveling with friends. Fred and Shayna.
All right. So yeah, a friend of mine, his wife wanted to celebrate her 40th birthday in Dubai, and they found their own package, and they just said, "Hey, if anybody wants to come, here's the package. Um, you know, just join us." So it wasn't like it was formally arranged, but we decided, you know what, we didn't want to stay in the hotel that they had chosen. So we called Norman and say, "Hey, do you have some recommendations of what we should do or where we should stay in Dubai?" So he arranged for us to stay in the JBR, which is down by the beach, and we stayed at the DoubleTree, and we wanted a suite because, like he said before, we kind of got spoiled with butler service and the suite that we had for our honeymoon. So we're like, yeah, we kind of don't want a regular hotel room ever again. So we wanted to find, a reasonably priced suite. And so we ordered a 1-bedroom suite, but when we got there, it wasn't ready. So they actually upgraded us to a 2-bedroom suite, 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
And get this, the guy actually was like, apologized. He was like, I hope that's okay. Like, dude, what?
Yeah, it's okay. So we had a 2-bedroom, 2-bath suite, a huge living room area. It was
floor to ceiling windows.
Yeah, floor to ceiling
balconies
windows
for the whole apartment. Like,
yeah, it was nice. It was super hot.
Yes.
Super. I mean, this was the end of September, early October.
Don't forget your thought. But before all that, Norman does know that I'm more of the jerk of the two of us, and so kind of a little bit of a customer service Nazi. Norman blew my mind with this one because while we're in the first getting off the plane, there was some little tiny lady about 4'10" that came and swooped us up. I have never been walked through an airport feeling like royalty before, but she brought it. Like, literally, she was excusing people out of our way. I was like, we don't even have nowhere to go, but you just felt important, right? Like, she's like, excuse us. She actually is the one that presented our passports to the passport officials. Like, she handled everything, even walking us through, like, because Dubai is they don't have like alcohol stores, so she was like, you want to get it here. She stopped us into duty free, waited for us, kept our bags with her. Like, she was spot on. Then she handed us over to the taxi folks, and then this is the mind blower. While I'm in the taxi, we're in the taxi together, heading to our hotel. The taxi driver gets a phone call. He's like, Mr. Harvey, it's for you. What? Who knows I'm in Dubai and how in the heck? I didn't even know I was getting in a taxi. How the heck did you find me in some random taxi? So I answered him. I'm like, hello? Now, it's either really good news or it's the CIA, right? Like, I'm about to die. But he was like, Norman asked us to contact you to make sure your flight was okay. And I'm like, Norman, just shut the door. Like, we ain't even got to the hotel yet, and this dude is blowing my mind with customer service. Like, so that person was like a local concierge, and he met us. He was like, well, take a nap, get yourself together. He showed up about 5 hours later at the hotel and just talked us through what our options were. And that's also when we, got the room upgrade, but not because of that dude.
So that's one of the great things we have with one of the we do have some arrival services that you can add as an option. Forgive me, Tracy. Don't side eye me that you didn't get that. And one of the great things is that, and what we pride ourselves as an agency is that we do have a lot of local contact. We use a lot of local people in the destination, so we build these relationships with a lot of the locals. And part of that is that those locals will actually contact our clients, look out for our clients, and greet our clients in the midst, because there's no such thing as a perfect vacation, but it's always good to have somebody on ground just that we could call up at us. I mean, I call them up 2 a.m. and stuff, and this okay, don't worry, we on it, we'll take care of it. And that's one of the great things about that that we have. But continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say this not to, make it a full-on Norman commercial, but I'm Team Norman all day. I felt like we weren't in Dubai by ourselves, and that's what was really comforting. Like, Norm and WhatsApp, like, all on top of it. I knew he was typing with one eye open and one shut because we were hitting him up at all hours of the day. But that's, for me, that matters a lot. If you're going to across the world, right, you want to know that somebody's able to look out for you, and you don't have to try to fumble through, your language skills and all that jazz. So, thumbs up for that. Sorry, back to you, wife.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much said that. So, we had great service coming in, so much so that our friends who were staying in another hotel they actually then used Norman while we were there
Oh,
to book
did
some
they?
excursions, because
they?
they were like, yeah, whatever's happening with this other group, we're not, interested in making those arrangements. So they started using Norman for additional excursions, and we had Norman also book us a trip to Abu Dhabi. So we had a day trip to Abu Dhabi. He arranged the transportation. He arranged, because over there, to get to Abu Dhabi, you also needed a PCR test, a negative
Yes.
PCR test, and your vaccination card.
Yes.
So Abu Dhabi is about an hour away from Dubai. So we wanted to get over there and go to the Grand Mosque over there. And so that was a day tour that we took. So we just timed it so that we took our PCR test, and we could use the same PCR test to fly home. So we timed it to happen at the end of our trip. And so he made the arrangements for that, for us to get transportation over there. We had a local tour guide who, was great. And
she was amazing.
She's a wonderful tour guide. I can't remember her name
Natasha.
now. Natasha. Yes, yeah. Natasha was great. So she took us around Abu Dhabi. And that's what also prompted our friends to be like, you know what, we want to do some other stuff. So let me see if Norman can help us with that. So that was a great addition to our trip.
So
now, just one quick question. Now, you mentioned Abu Dhabi, and some people in the past wasn't able to go to Abu Dhabi. Fortunately, y'all were, because it just kind of opened up, I think, right before y'all got there.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people when we talk about dress code in regards to Dubai, there's always a question of, do I have to wrap up? Do I have to wear garb? Do I have to do this? I'm sure y'all had those questions as well. As far as dressing, was there any issue as far as, what are your thoughts about if you had to explain to somebody how to pack for Dubai?
So in Dubai, I think they're looser than Abu Dhabi.
So they're like the Gomorrah of the Middle East. Seriously, what's permissible in Dubai is absolutely obscene in the rest of the Muslim world.
For real.
But did you feel like you had to pack anything special?
No, I was trying to be respectful because number one, it's hot, so you're thinking about tank tops and maxi dresses and stuff where you don't have to have a lot of things touching you over there, but you also want to be respectful of the culture. So I took just like a wrap, or I bought a wrap from the souk, one of the souks. And use that when I went into malls, because there were signs in the malls that had suggestions. It wasn't really enforced.
This is in Dubai.
This is in Dubai. That wasn't enforced, but I did have it just in case somebody said something in Dubai. Now Abu Dhabi, on the other hand, is a different story. Abu Dhabi is a little more conservative. And particularly when we went into the Grand Mosque, we had to be covered for the women in particular. You're no forearm showing, covered from your wrist all the way up. Can't have too much showing down below your ankles. One friend that was with us, she had slits in her skirt, and they made her buy an arm sleeve, and then she put it on her legs. So she didn't have any skin covering. They did allow sandals, so you could have sandals on, but everything else had to be covered. So we bought gear for that while we were over there, just to make sure we were covered.
Norman, I'll try to remember to send you the pictures. I don't know if they were there when you went, but they literally have like fashion
security
cops. No, these ladies was boss. Like they was in their T-bars, but they was sharp. They had like, these little shiny lapels, but they was on it. They was spinning in circles. No, yes, no, come over here. Let me talk to you. Like they was running like an airport. But
they do not
with the walkie-talkies to signal to people, okay, this person's gonna go over here. And
you have to be approved for entry. Which you can respect. Like I just thought that it was just a really, really good experience. Culturally, and even as not to go all deep, but even as a believer, for me, in Christ to see others really hold something in high regard and have rules like we don't need nothing from you if you can't follow this.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine over here somebody trying to have a dress
No.
code
And
for a
I
religious
try to
building?
explain to people, Islam here and Muslims here, the whole, it's not totally different, but it's pretty different as you go and experience it and
Where
try
it's
to.
the dominant culture, right?
Right.
It's
It's
the dominant.
very dominant culture, but it's also it's not like women are secondary. Women are very in high regards over there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it never
They
felt like oppressive or at all.
no,
It was just
and
it was
a lot
respect.
of it you'll see it's a
So I've
safety
been trying to
measure
see a
too.
door.
It's a very safety measure as well. They hold women in high. Women have some of the higher positions over there as well too.
They actually did. I mean, they were in charge of security. It looked like in the mosque. Like
Yeah.
the only people that were really there enforcing everything were women.
Yes.
And so
And they don't play. And when I
no.
tell you about the dress, and it's unfortunate, I always get somebody to get it wrong. How many pictures, how many videos, how many words I put out, there's always somebody that gets it wrong. But you really have to be covered from your neck down
And
to
your
your wrist
hair.
and down
And
to your
yes,
And
yes,
your hair.
and your hair
so my
and
head had
down
to
to
be
your
covered,
ankles.
and
And you
which was
cannot
odd.
have anything
Had to
see
fun.
through. You can't have you can't even have your edges showing. They don't even want that showing. So
No.
nothing see through, no slits or nothing. And then too, we'll talk about that a little bit later as far as taking pictures and stuff like that. No poses. I don't know if that happened with
Oh,
y'all,
and no
but
PDA.
yeah,
So like no husbands and wife. You know, you
no,
can't have your arm around.
no, no. And
We didn't
we'll get into a bunch of that.
no hands.
And then too, with just they will take your phone if you're taking pictures, doing some gangster pose or even pointing. They will take your phone and they will go through your phone and delete pictures, and they will come through it, and then they will go to your trash bin and delete that as well. So but we'll get into a little bit of that as well. So, going more, if was there any things like misconceptions or things that y'all had thought of at Dubai, and then after y'all got there was quite different?
I mean, I kind of didn't. I didn't fully know what to expect. I think, we had this bright idea to stay on the beach, but we really didn't do anything on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, in my mind, I was setting it up kind of like a traditional Caribbean type of vacation where I wanted to hang out on the beach, but there was so much to do outside of that that I think I spent one day
Sound like Tracy.
on the beach. Yeah, it was just like, well, it's here, but it's not really a thing
Yeah.
to do. So I think knowing that there's just so much to do that you might get exhausted just trying to do everything.
Yeah.
Between the time change and all the activities, you really have to just gear yourself up for like, okay, make sure you build in some kind of chill time just to take it all in and to relax, because there's a lot to do. Like we're considering going back just because we didn't get to do it all.
Yeah. And that's typically, and y'all were there for about 7 nights, right?
Yeah, we were there. Yeah, 7 nights.
Yeah. How did the time change? So right now, I think it's a 9-hour difference between here. How did that impact you, and how long do you think it took you to adjust to the time difference?
It's hard to say because I didn't sleep the night before, so I was already off. Because we left for JFK at like 4:30 in the morning. So I slept on a plane. So I think I was ready to start activity the next day, that Sunday.
Yeah.
So we landed early Saturday morning, and I just slept for most of that day. And by the time I got that sleep in, I was ready to
get rolling.
I don't know how it was for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a Dubai convert now. So I was very reluctant, and I shamefully got, a sweet deal because this is my wife's, she wants to do a friend trip, right, and not have her introvert husband stay home. So in order for me to go, I got to pick where we went for our anniversary. So I got Aruba out of that. That's why we were at Aruba.
Okay.
That was my compromise. And it's
Uh-huh.
why we didn't need to go to the beach by the time we got to Dubai, because it was only 3-4 months before that.
Aruba is the happiest place that is my
It really is.
favorite. Yes.
Listen, Tracy, it's so serious. We looked for property on the day 5. Like, what does property cost? You know, just so we know.
Aruba is everything, and there's a lot to do there as well too.
Oh yeah, definitely. We love the Aruba, but that got us our beach fix for the year, and so we were ready for like a more adventurous
Yes.
vacation in Dubai, and I think Dubai delivered.
And that desert ride is everything.
Oh yeah,
That
was
desert
actually my
ride is
favorite.
So yeah,
everything.
That was
not for me. So I'm not the
like that.
adventure type, and so she did not tell me that's what we were doing. So when we first crashed into a dude, I thought we were dying and that the man had lost his mind. And so I began to say a lot of really, really bad words, only to hear the rest of the folks laughing like, oh, this is a thing, like dune crashing.
Yeah.
Down there. But, you know,
I liked it.
there's something really surreal about Dubai. Like if you have like any kind of inkling for like history and development of culture and civilizations, like to know that 50 years ago it was still a village, literally a fishing village, really should blow your mind as to both the good and the bad of what they've done and how fast they've done it.
And it's safe.
Tracy mentioned the architecture earlier when she was talking about it, but the architecture really is amazing. Like what they've done with these buildings. The thing I will tell people is that Dubai is like the city that looked at everybody else and just said, let's do this bigger. Let's do this better. Like their whole shtick is bigger, better, faster, taller.
I think it's because to some degree new money has got to prove itself,
Right?
Like we're worthy, because like there's a Louvre in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Why?
They paid a lot of money for
it was
that.
like $4 million for the naming rights alone.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I digress. I really like Dubai because I've always been interested in the Middle East and Middle Eastern culture, and it kind of it's a nice way to enter into that without being overwhelmed by all the customs that you need to be aware of, because Dubai is super Western, super friendly to Americans, and almost embarrassingly so. Like Natasha, our tour guide for Abu Dhabi, was an Indian woman, and she was telling us, basically, if you got an American passport, your treatment, is just shifted to a whole nother level, a whole nother space.
Yeah. And I will say the expo, because this next trip is going to be during the expo. Absolutely, hands down, a great experience. Just to see all of those cultures. We got there on the very first day that it opened. But it was our last opportunity to go because we were leaving the next day. So we didn't really get to experience a ton of it. It was super hot. And so, and it was just big. There's just too much to see in just one day.
Did you mention already take a water bottle with you? No, I'm not kidding, because I got overheated during the World Expo, and the biggest frustration I had was I couldn't get to water because they are trying to be green. And so there were no cups. And so you guys had to then go find a store in this hot desert.
You should always travel with the water bottle.
Yeah.
Well, Tracy, Tracy, the weather when they went was quite different than the weather when we went.
Yeah.
So
I forgot to mention the yacht party.
Yes.
Oh, excuse us. Now we have reason to be jealous.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Tell us.
We had fun on that. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
A yacht party.
Yes.
So that's typically a part of our tour there as well. But I didn't put your group itinerary together.
You're right.
No shade. No shade.
You're right.
No. So Shayna, if you had to pick one thing that was, or two or three, that was your highlight, what would that be?
Definitely the desert tour.
Okay.
That would be up there.
What about that?
The desert tour, I think it gave you the feeling like you were in the Middle East. Like there's just sand everywhere.
Yeah.
You got to experience the culture. You got the food.
Yes.
You got to, just really be kind of immersed. Even though it's a touristy thing to do, it was fun.
Yeah.
For me, not for him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was enjoyable. I just didn't know I was risking my life when I got in the truck.
Fred, I still get shook. I've done that at least a half a dozen times, and I still get shook.
Well, that's kind of how that works, because you can't not be shook. Right?
Yeah, I really
throwing your money all over the place.
I really get nervous and think, oh, are we about to go over here? But yeah, I'm not going to spoil it.
What hit me to something was up. We get in a regular SUV and it's reinforced with steel on the inside and padding. I'm like, well, what do they do here? Why would you need to reinforce it? Oh, because it might roll over.
But they have some very skilled drivers.
They do.
There's that. You have to be skilled.
Yeah, but that was definitely a highlight for me. I don't know for Fred.
I like the people a lot.
Yeah.
I
made friends over there. So
to me, it matters to be treated well. And I felt like even in the restaurants, and so my number two would also be the food. I really enjoyed there was
one place we went twice. That place we sent you the picture of.
Is that where y'all had the pigeon?
Not the picnic. We had it was a seafood piece that we had there.
Yeah. That was nearby the hotel.
Yeah, we went there twice, so it was good.
Yeah, and they even got me to eat a stuffed pigeon.
Yes, interesting.
Yeah, like they brought it, but yeah, the people, like when you're in a restaurant, here in the States, they're trying to turn every table over, so it's a rush, right? They side eyeing you after the check.
Yes.
But they wanted you to take your time, right? Like chill, like nobody's like in this.
No,
like
don't rush at all.
Your meal is an event, and it felt, like I just appreciate settings where the hospitality is different and genuine and welcoming and not rushed. Like I experienced that in almost every restaurant we were in. So that would definitely be my highlight.
Hospitality is very great there, and I'm huge on hospitality, and you definitely get it all throughout.
And my other thing, not as a negative, but just as a point of thought, Dubai makes it very easy for you to spend all your money. So just, if you are not good at watching your money, you just don't take your whole debit card to your whole life, your whole account, because it's real easy. You just get kind of caught up in a life, right? You're like, swipe, AED, I don't know, dollars, I don't know.
Now, their currency is called dirhams. You'll see it listed as AED. Did you have any challenges with the currency as far as using your card, using US dollars, exchanging your money?
You'll want to check with your bank to see if they're going to charge you any extra.
Yeah. Bank of America definitely does.
Yeah. They'll charge you extra. Because and I think there was a difference between using a debit card versus a credit card.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the distinction, but just check with your bank to see if they're going to charge you a little extra.
Yeah. Debit cards, they charge you extra.
Yeah.
And I think if you have credit unions, they don't charge. Certain banks and credit unions, they don't charge extra.
Yeah. Because I use both. I use the debit Bank of America, and I use my Navy Federal Credit Union. I didn't have any fees on my Navy.
Right.
I did good with my dirhams, but then I got happy because I was like, oh, it's just money. And I was just spending it. Next thing you know, it was almost gone. But the young lady at the airport on our way out was treated very well because I had $60 left and she got all of it. She was a bathroom attendant, so I was like, I can't do anything with it. So
yeah. I mean,
you can always send it to your travel agent.
I know that's right.
Just a if
Wait,
you want.
You said that with a balance.
No, but that we didn't have any major issues there. I will say one thing that we probably should have done that we didn't do. We bought our garb for the mosque
Mm-hmm.
in the JBR
Yes.
instead of going to the souks and
Old
buy them.
sook in
The old
particular.
souks in particular. We should have just waited and buy it there.
Yes.
It was much more expensive.
I got a guy if you need it.
Okay. Good, good, good. So we normally design our trips. Um, we normally design our trips to the point where we normally do that Dubai City tour at the beginning, particularly to go to the Spice and Gold souks, so that you don't have to buy your garb here or nothing like that. You can buy it there, and it's very cheap, and they'll be on you. They've got plenty
Oh
of
yeah.
it
Oh
there.
yeah.
They have
Yeah.
plenty of it
So
there.
yeah, we realized. Oh yeah, it's more expensive in the JBR.
Good, good, good. So, all right. So I'm not going to exhaust. We could go on, and I hope y'all can stay on for us, if because y'all might have some input. But we have some people that's joining us on YouTube and some people on Facebook. And if you are on YouTube or on Facebook and you have any questions, feel free to type them in, and then I'm going to go over a few things about Dubai, some of the boring stuff. But again, this is primarily just in general for Dubai, but we're actually promoting our Dubai, the Afrozons Dubai Sound Off, which is March 3rd to the 9th. We will have opportunities for people who want to leave early to spend the extra time, but we'll be leaving the States on the 2nd because you lose a day in travel as you're going there. So we're going to get into some of the things of that nature that you need to consider while in preparation of going to Dubai. So one of the first things you have to consider is you do not have to be vaccinated to go to Dubai. So that's a big misconception. You don't have to be vaccinated. It is definitely a bonus and it's definitely a plus. And there are some areas like going to Abu Dhabi where you'll need to have a vaccination card, or you can't go to Abu Dhabi. And going to the Dubai Expo, you need to be vaccinated to go to the Dubai Expo because they will ask you for your vaccination card in those two areas. But to go to Dubai and to enjoy Dubai, you can still go to Dubai and not be vaccinated and get a full experience and enjoy Dubai. Now, with that said, um, you one of the biggest travel requirements of going to Dubai is that you need a PCR test, 72 hours prior to departure. So if you're leaving at Friday at 10 a.m., your flight is Friday at 10 a.m., you would need to take a PCR test no earlier than Tuesday at 10 a.m. So it has to be in that 72-hour window. So anytime from Tuesday, at 72 hours at 10 a.m., you can take your test. So whatever day you're departing, you want to count 3 days back, and that's when you schedule your PCR test. It cannot be an antigen test. It has to be a PCR test. Now they do have what they call rapid PCR tests. So when I started going to Dubai in the beginning of the pandemic, this wasn't available, but they do now have what they call rapid PCR tests available for. So, and then too, if you've never been tested before, and I'm thinking we've almost 2 years into this, I'm hoping everybody at this point has been tested at one point or another. Go to one of your CVS, go to one of your urgent cares or something, so you'll be familiar with the process of how it is and how much time it takes. Unfortunately, right now with this new variant, getting PCR tests is a little hard now. So every time COVID, we have an outbreak and an uptick in cases, it gets a little harder with getting PCR tests. So I'm expecting, just because I've seen some of the ebbs and flows of the outbreaks of COVID, come March, things will be back down a little bit and you'll be able to get a PCR test. And typically they're resulted 24 to 48 hours prior to departure. We had some people that pushed it right up to the deadline, but typically 24 to 48 hours, you're able to get a PCR test. So one thing you want to do right now is to look into different areas where you can get a PCR test and see the time frame as far as what they take to get resulted. In my experience, I normally ask the place if they get their results in LabCorp, because LabCorp normally comes back a little quicker. So that's one of the pre-preparation things you need to get done before. But urgent care is definitely a good source. Your primary doctor, if you have CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, or those type of pharmacies, they are some good sources. And you have to schedule those at those places. You have to schedule them in advance online. Typically, right now, the best time to do it is right after midnight, because they load up a lot of their slots right after midnight. Airlines. So we talk about airlines. So nonstop flights are pretty much on Emirates, and Emirates fly out of JFK nonstop. They fly out of IAD in Dulles. They fly nonstop out of Miami. Miami is normally a night flight though. They fly nonstop out of Houston, and they fly nonstop out of LA and Chicago. And I believe it's one more, I'm thinking San Francisco. The flights are picking up because more people are traveling. So they're adding more and more flights as we go on. But there are other alternate options to fly. Fly Etihad. They fly into Abu Dhabi. And if you fly Etihad, you go fly into Abu Dhabi, and then you have to take an hour bus ride to get into Dubai. Another option too is Qatar, or some people call it Qatar Airways. Now they fly through Doha, so you'll have to make a stop in Doha. And Doha is about an hour away from Dubai, even less than that. So those are some of the options flying. But at the same time, you can always contact us, and we'll help you with your flights and things of that nature. You can use your points, or you can use your just buy the flight straight out. If we do have more than 14 people leaving at the same airport on the same day, we will provide a group flight, which you'll be able to make payments. Other than that, typically your flight, you have to pay straight. You have to pay at the time of you're quoted for your flight. When you fly, as you're checking into your flight, you will have to present your passport, and you will have to present that negative PCR test. Now, your PCR test, the reason I say no earlier than 72 hours, because your PCR test is time stamped. So whenever you take your PCR test, you make that appointment. The minute they start to take your PCR test, they're going to stamp the time on it. They don't always look at it at the check-in desk when you're checking into your flight, but sometimes they'll do. And if you're outside of that window, they can deny you boarding that flight. So that 72-hour window, which is right now, and it might be subject to change. Right now, that 72-hour window is very important. So you'll have to present your passport, and you'll have to present that negative PCR test. Have it printed. Sometimes they'll take it on the phone, but print up several copies. I always recommend print up about 3 copies. Put one with your passport, put one in your pocket, and put one in with your carry-on case, just in case you lose one or the other. The check-in processes and get to the airport. Typically, we say 3 hours, but right now, you might want to get to the airport a little bit more than that. It might be 4 hours, because with the whole process of having to check the passports and having to check the PCR tests, the process is a lot longer now. And then going through security can be a little bit longer as well. So time yourself out 3-4 hours. 3 hours definitely, 4 hours to be safe getting to the airport. While you're on your flight, now I typically fly out of JFK. It's typically a 12-hour nonstop flight. It sounds long. It is long. I still try to get used to doing that flight, but it's a very comfortable flight. I wish I could, well, I'm sure Fred and Shana could talk to that. It's a very comfortable flight, and they feed you. You're going to at least get, depending on what time you leave, you'll probably get breakfast, you'll get dinner, and you'll get a snack. You get so much food sometimes where it's just like you're telling them, like, no, I'm good. I don't need nothing else to eat, because they feed you very, very well on the flight. Not only that, they'll give you choice of alcoholic beverages, so and soda and wine and water and juices. So they have plenty of that, and you could get that all along the whole entire flight. Is any given point you want to ask them for something to drink, they do have their services where they come up through the carts. But even midway between the flight, even while the service is not being rendered, you can always go up to the flight attendant and ask them for something to drink. And they do have alcohol, and it doesn't cost. So they'll have like Jack Daniels, vodka, whiskey, rum. And it's not an additional cost. So if you do like to drink, you can do that. You have to wear your mask the entire flight, outside of the times where you're probably eating and drinking. You do have to wear your mask. They have entertainment on the flight. So I've typically say I'll probably watch at least 3 or 4 different movies, and then before I know it, we're there at Dubai. So they have entertainment on the flight, and they have plenty of movies. They have plenty of TV shows. They have BBC, CNN, great world news coverage. They have games on there that you can play. So it's a very and the flight, the leg room is very good. So it's a very comfortable flight, even in economy. Now, if you got the budget to go ahead and get first class, I highly recommend it. I don't have that kind of budget, but it's a very nice way to treat yourself. I also recommend sometimes if you're looking into that, pay for it if you want to. If you're not sure, you may have a part of the budget is the buy economy. Get yourself listed at the rewards port. If they have extra seats at the day of the flight or a couple of days before the flight, they normally offer that as a discount. So that's the way you can get a discounted first class or a business class seat. If you're flying the Airbus, they also have a premium economy as well, where you can have an extra little leg room with, you won't have the bed, but they have like kickstands where you can kind of kick your feet out a bit. So that's handling the flight. The flight is 12 hours. Depending on where you're leaving from. Then there's some airports like Miami, they don't have flights until the evening. So you'll probably leave at around 10 o'clock and you'll arrive around 7 p.m. But if you're leaving out of Dulles, JFK, and some other places, Chicago, they have morning flights where you'll leave around between 10 and 11 a.m. and you'll arrive in Dubai at 8 a.m. And once you book your flight, you send our flight information to us and we'll arrange your ground transportation. Medication. If you're on certain types of medications, you definitely want to check Emirates website to see about their different rules as far as medication. If you're on medication, please take your medication with you and please take it regularly while you're there. We recently had a trip to Cancun. Somebody didn't have their blood pressure medication, and it really caused a bad problem with them and their blood pressure, and they actually had to be hospitalized. So please, please, please bring your medication, take your medication. And if you have a question about certain medications and bringing it, contact me, contact the airlines. They will definitely help walk you through that. And while we're talking about that, travel insurance. This week, for those who already registered for the trip, I'll be sending them out come Monday. I'll be sending you out a quote for travel insurance. I can't stress it enough to get travel insurance. Not only because of if you're going to miss your flight or lost baggage or a trip interruption, but it covers you medically while you're there. Or just so happily, if you were to test positive to COVID, it'll cover you for your additional stay and some of the other things while you're there. And besides the travel insurance that we'll send out to you, at this time, Emirates also, you'll have additional backup insurance with Emirates if you book your airfare through Emirates Airline. They'll have another additional insurance besides your, for those who use American Express and things of that nature. So that's one thing about travel insurance. I can't get in too much about travel insurance because I'm not licensed to really talk about travel insurance. So once we send you out, our preferred company is travel insurance. Once we send you out a quote for travel insurance, if you have any questions, and normally there's a standard plan and a plus plan. The plus plan is the main big difference with that is a cancel for any reason. But if you have any particular questions about travel insurance, once we send it out to you, it's best to contact the travel insurance company to get all your questions answered. Pricing. On the website, you'll see some pricing. You'll see single occupancy and you'll see double occupancy. one of the big differences when you're traveling anywhere and you have a single occupancy room, you're going to actually pay a little bit more. You're going to actually pay probably the regular price plus additional half of what it costs. So you're almost paying like double, not quite, but that's some people like to be able to be in their room by themselves. They like to travel by themselves. They're comfortable with that. They don't mind paying extra. But if you are traveling as a single occupancy, you will pay an additional premium price for that. Because there are some things that you're taking up a space where they normally have two people in the room. With double occupancy, it's at a lesser cost. So if you're able to find somebody to room with to help offset that cost of being a single policy, please do so. If not, contact us. If we have some other people who might be in the same boat, they're solo, they're traveling, we'll try to match you up and as best as we can and kind of fill you out and share contact information so y'all can actually try to get a feel of each other and see if it'll be a good fit. But there is an extra price if you're booking as a single occupancy room. And single occupancy meaning that you are in the room by yourself. There are on our website, we'll have double occupancy, but there's a way you could book and pay double occupancy and pay just your portion. And that person can sign up and pay their portion. Just unfortunately, we're not able to book your room until both of those deposits are made. We're going to add to the website for additional nights if you haven't arranged that for yourself. Seeing Dubai in 6 nights is very, very difficult. You'll see a lot of Dubai, you'll experience a lot of Dubai, you'll enjoy a lot of Dubai, but as Fred and Shane to tell you, they've been there for 7 nights and they feel like they just scratched the surface. And this is probably one of our biggest complaints is that 6 nights is just not enough. So one, like I said, you'll have a great time. You'll experience a lot. But if you do want to do additional nights, we recommend it, especially because in this particular March itinerary, we don't have Abu Dhabi on the list because of the way this is a particular event that's not set up for that. But if you do additional nights and you want to go to Abu Dhabi, I highly recommend you add on additional nights. Or we can work it into that 6 nights, but it's going to be a very tight schedule, just to be up front. Lastly, we'll also have a Maldives add-on that we're going to add to the website. There'll be a 3 nights post after the 9th. So from the 9th to the 12th, there'll be a 3-night Maldives add-on. I'll add the pricing, add some details about that, and you'll be able to inquire if you're interested in going to the Maldives. Maldives is actually between 3 to 4 hours flight from Dubai, so it'll be additional flight, but it'll be a great way to extend your trip. Dubai is going to be busy. We're going to be moving the whole time. So it's a great way to extend your trip to just chill, relax, because that's what Maldives is all about. It's just really a chill, relax type of environment. Dress code. I always tell people, Dubai is very Western. So you can look through YouTube, you can look up Dubai, you can look up different areas of Dubai. I always say, go on to YouTube and look up like the Dubai Mall. So you'll get an idea of really how people dress. Or look up a beach in Dubai. You can look up the JBR beach, you can look up the Palm Beach, and you can get an idea. There's people there, they can wear bikinis. It's very, very laid back. So just as well as how you would dress going to Mexico or the Caribbean, you could dress the same way going to Dubai. The only thing is, I always highly recommend is that you respect the culture. It's an Islamic culture. They're very conservative. So not the thing that you have to be garbed up and fully dressed from head to toe all the time, but it's a very conservative culture. So, but Dubai is very Western. So when you at the nightclubs, just like you at the nightclubs here, that's how people dress. So don't be surprised. You'll see very risque outfits. Unfortunately, but there is one of the things that we've started to see an uptick in trend is that in certain areas you'll see things as prostitution going on, and you'll kind of realize it. So you'll see some very, very risque dressed women throughout Dubai. But as far as dress, The only major dress code you have to really concern yourself with is when you go to Abu Dhabi, and we'll prepare you for that. We'll give you the dress code. We'll give you some examples, and you'll have time to shop for that while you're in Dubai. If you want to get your outfits here, you don't have to dress up, but normally that's the time where people like to dress up, kind of wear the abayas or the condors and kind of how look the feel of an Emirati or a traditional Arab type of dress style. So when you want to take your pictures, you want to play the part, but you don't have to. You could wear, women could wear a pair of slacks all the way down and wear a long sleeve shirt and just a head wrap. But this is good opportunity to kind of get into the culture, get into the mix of things and dress up. So we'll have a tour where we go to the Golden Spice Souks where you'll be able to buy a lot of those things that you'll need to wear for that particular Abu Dhabi. Now, if you do, that's like I said, it's not really a part of this itinerary, but we can plan it for you. But just being mindful that if you do want to go to Abu Dhabi, you do have to be vaccinated and you will have to present your vaccination card. So just keep it on you, carry it around with you. I always tell people while you're there, even your passport, just carry it around with you because there's some different times where you're going to go to a duty-free shop and you might have to present your passport just to buy some things. So Abu Dhabi and the Dubai Expo. The Dubai Expo is in the itinerary. You're going to need your vaccination card. Again, respect the culture. It's an Islamic culture. Don't feel offended. It's sometimes you'll go to different places in Dubai and you're like, oh, this is very sexist, because the Islamic culture they're used to having men speak to men. They don't typically, address women. They'll if it's a man in the crowd, they'll probably address that man. So if you see that happen, it's not sexist. It's not being ignorant or disregarding you. It's just a cultural. And we gotta sometimes being this American how we were raised, we gotta get out of some of those cultural mindsets. Understand different countries have different cultural aspects to them and different ways that they operate. Even on a train, point in case, one time I took the metro, I took the train down to the Dubai Mall, and there's so much high regard for women and children there that while you're taking a train, it's like a subway train if you're in Philadelphia or an elevated train. Um, and it's self-operated, so it runs night and day, and nobody's operated. It's computer controlled, so it's one of those fancy things to buy. But they have a section just for women and children. So, and I wasn't first time I was there, I wasn't even aware of this. So I'm sitting down and I'm just like, on my phone looking at something, and some guy comes and tap me on my legs. He's like, "Hey, you better get up, get over there, because you'll get fined for sitting here." And then as I look down on the floor, you'll see a section. You'll see written, "This section is for women and children." So they hold women and children in high regard. So those are some of the things that you have to be mindful of too while you're there. So there'll be certain areas where they'll definitely serve the women first and things of that nature. It's just a part of their culture. PDA, public display of affection. I don't care if you're married. I don't care if you're heterosexual, if you're homosexual. They have a big thing against PDA. So just even like you laughing and joking and you just want to take a picture, you want to put your arm. No, they have a very big thing against PDA there in Dubai. So there's really that's a big don't in Dubai, public display of affection. But at the same time, there's this big myth about Dubai because it's an Islamic country, and I get it. Even some of my clients and some people that go on this trip, there are are the LBGT community. You're very safe in Dubai. They don't care what's your sexual preference there. You'll find they are very comfortable in Dubai. So they don't care if you're heterosexual, homosexual, and while you're in your hotel room, they don't care what do you do. You don't have to be married. You could be in a hotel room with your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's just once you get out outside of that hotel room, there's no public display inspection. Don't try to challenge them. Don't try to buck the system. They don't care. They welcome all sexualities with open arms. So please, if you heard that and that you're scared or something like that, That is not a problem there. They're very comfortable with that. They're very opening, very warm and friendly. Um, but PDA is a thing that's a big don't. That's a big no there. So please keep that in mind. Of course, with this trip, you put your if you're going on this particular trip in March, we do take a deposit, and you will be able to make payments up until I think it's 45 days. It might be 30 days before departure, and we will work out a payment plan for you. Even if you at this very moment, if you go pay right now, we'll work out a payment plan for you. Currency, they have their currency is called dirhams, and you'll see it listed as AED, and it's about the last time I was there was almost 3.5 dirhams to $1. So the dollar is pretty good there, but to be honest with you, you hear a lot of things with these big fancy cars and lions and gold. Um, I always relate going to Dubai, and people always ask me how much money to bring. How do I shop? What do I spend? Things are very extravagantly expensive. No, Dubai could be very cheap, frugal, or it could be extremely expensive. I always relate it to if you're going out fine dining, if you're going to the restaurant, you're going to the mall, act like going to New York City, you're going shopping. That's what you can expect to pay price wise. You'll find some things at a discount. You'll find some things very high, but you can eat at the Ritz Carlton, something very expensive, or you can eat at Shake Shack. That's some of our favorite places. PF Chang's, Cheesecake Factory. So you'll see all that stuff around. So you can really spend a lot, or you can spend very minimum. So it's hard to tell somebody what to spend or what their budget. You know how you like to shop, you know how you like to travel, but just bring a little extra too, just in case. So you'll have to spend. Typically, once we get there, we normally tell people to exchange. You don't have to exchange any currency back home. It's not going to be any advantages to that. But once you get there, you get to the airport. Before you leave the airport, I normally recommend you exchange at least a couple $100. So you'll be able to tip and you'll be able to pay for things. And there's certain areas like when we go to the Dubai City tour and we go over to the old part of Dubai and we're at the souks and you're at the spice market. Typically, there you want to use dirhams to pay things and they're going to be doing a lot of haggling and talking back and forth, and it's just easier there to use dirhams. But when you're at night at a restaurant and some of these events or things of that nature, or at the mall, you can easily just use your card and they'll do all the conversion. And sometimes you can use dollars and they'll do the conversion on the spot. Most likely, they're going to give you change back in dirhams, but they'll do the conversion on the spot, even with US dollars. So don't be too concerned as far as um, just spending and converting and stuff and credit cards and all that nature. You'll be fine with that. Just check with your bank. Let your bank know that you'll be traveling to the Middle East and you'll be in Dubai that week, as well as with your cell phone carrier. And check with your bank, because one thing you don't want to do is have your card flagged while you're there. And I always recommend too, bring a backup just in case. There's been times where I've had my card flagged and you got to call, or you got to wait till you get a text or things like nature and to get that unflagged. So you always want to have a backup. So bring plenty of cash with you as a backup. Uh, Uber versus taxi. So a lot of Dubai, you'll be as you're doing things on your own outside of the group excursions. You'll probably have to take a taxi somewhere or Uber. I always recommend when you're in Dubai, use a taxi. Taxis are cheaper than Ubers. Ubers are a little bit more expensive, but Uber is available, so you can use your Uber app there. Use a taxi. And when I say taxi, when you go to the concierge desk and you ask that you need a taxi somewhere, tell them you want a regular taxi, because a lot of hotels that have taxi service, that you'll see these guys run up to you in plain clothes and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you a taxi," and they'll have these Lexus. No, that's a little bit more expensive. So tell them you want a meter taxi with the sign up top that says taxi. You want a regular taxi, and be adamant about it, because they're going to try to sell you on some of their hotel taxis or some of the services that they have. but use a taxi. A regular taxi is much cheaper. And you can use your credit card actually in the taxi to pay. And if you have those cards that tap to pay, those work in the taxi, or you can use dirhams. But getting around it's very easy to get around Dubai. Google Map works. The taxi drivers sometimes they don't know where they're going. So when you're in the taxi and you're going to a certain destination, put your Google Maps in because sometimes they get lost. And we've had some experience where they get lost, and then they'll say, "Oh well, you tell them no, it's over here." And then they'll keep the meter running, and they don't stop it like they do here. They'll keep it running. So have your Google Map and kind of get an idea. Food wise, like I said, there's a lot of food options. Vegan, meat. There's even pork options. So when you're at the hotel, breakfast is included. You will have the opportunity to. Their breakfast is not like here in the state. It's not that little continental stuff you have. It's a full buffet spread breakfast that you'll have access to every morning. And like I said, there are plenty of other food options there. So if you're not into Arabic food or something that's it's just not your taste, there's other options: Shake Shack, McDonald's, Burger King's, Pizza Hut, PF Chang. So night, morning, noon, and night, there's always KFC. There's always alternative options, and then there's a lot of vegan options as well. And if you want pork, they are pork. They do serve pork, and even though it's an Islamic country, they do serve pork in their restaurants, in the hotels, even at their market. They have I found they have a pork section, so they're very, very liberal as far as their food options. If you are into alcohol and you do like to drink alcohol, I highly recommend before you leave the airport that you can go to the duty-free shop and buy some alcohol. If you're taking checked bags, you can check it. You can pack some alcohol with you and take with you. And then there's a mall at the Dubai Marina Mall. There's it's like really hidden, but there's an actual liquor store where you can purchase alcohol. Just make sure you take your passport with you. You cannot drink alcohol outside the hotel. You have to keep it in your hotel room. You can't drink in the lobby or anywhere else. But they do serve alcohol restaurants. A lot of times it's going to be very expensive because it's a dry country. They kind of discourage it. But you'll be able to, at the nightclubs, at restaurants, you'll be able to buy alcoholic drinks. Tours and excursions. In this particular trip in March, we have 3 tours included. One is a half-day Dubai City tour. The other is a desert safari tour, and then 1-day pass to the expo. And at least 2 or 3, at least 2 of these tours, the radio celebrity DJs will be attendant to them. For this particular package, those tours are mandatory, so you will be expected to go on these tours. This trip is at a very discounted rate, and they did this because they want you to experience these things. They have these radio celebrities, DJs there, and they want y'all to be able to mix and mingle with them. So those tours are mandatory. There are some optional tours that we'll be adding on and we'll be talking to you about as well that you can add on. Or if there's something you've researched yourself that you want to do, feel free to contact me. I could definitely help you and arrange and get those planned out for you. Smoking. What we call hookah, if you're into that, they call it shisha, and it's very, a lot of areas throughout Dubai, even on the beach, you can go to a shisha place where they'll have it, and they're open till like 2, 3 in the morning. So that's a big thing in Dubai, at the nightclubs, at the brunch, different areas. So even at the hotels, you could just go lounge by the pool and you can order shisha. So if you're into the hookah, it's very plentiful, and you can around Dubai. And you could, I know some people that travel with their own little kit, so you could do that as well. Be careful with the coals. They're kind of funny sometimes at the airport about the coals. Smoking is, in the Arab culture, they do a lot of smoking. So there are some hotels where they'll have just one floor that's a smoking, but most of the hotels and the hotel rooms are non-smoking, predominantly like at least 90% of that. But they do have some places you'll go, even some of the restaurants where they do smoke. That's just one of their big things in their culture, and it's hard for them to stop that. There's plenty of nightlife, plenty of clubs. Dubai is wide open right now, so they're back to pretty much full capacity. So a lot of restrictions has been lifted. So there's plenty of nightlife and clubs to go to. And we'll share some links to some of those different places to go to, and we'll offer some suggestions. You heard Tracy talk about brunch. Brunch is a big deal in Dubai. It happens every Friday from 1 to 4. So if that's something you're interested in, we'll have that. We'll have an optional excursion for dinner in the sky. It's expensive, but it's a quite great experience to have dinner tonight. You're lifted up on a crane, about 100 feet in the sky, and you get great meal and a great view of Dubai. I talked about dress code. I already talked about that. Like I said, just it's very liberal. As far as even if you have a two-piece on, you can wear that. Just as you're leaving the beach or you're leaving the swimming pool, you'll have to wear a cover-up while you're walking through the hotel. The only really time that you really have to be mindful of your dress code is if you do go to Abu Dhabi. There'll be some live events. As this Afrozons Dubai Sound Off event kicks off, they're going to be having some meet and greets. They're going to be having some live events. They're going to be having some entertainment. They normally have entertainment at the Dubai Expo as well. So we're going to be updating you as we go along and the different things that they'll add. And we'll constantly put out the itinerary and update the itinerary as we'll find out new things. One of the things I always tell you, there's no such thing as a perfect vacation. We can lay out, Dubai is beautiful. It's a wonderful place. But always keep an open mind as you're traveling. We're traveling during the pandemic as well, so that even makes it even a little bit more challenging. All the negativity, all the drama, please leave that back home. This is a great trip. You're spending a lot of money. We're going 12 hours away. We're going to have an amazing trip. Bring those good vibes with you and expect to have a good time. I don't want to keep this any longer. If you do have any questions, please type it into the chat box on YouTube or on Facebook, and I'll go ahead and answer it. One question somebody asked me was if I have experienced the indoor ski resort. The indoor, so at the Mall of Emirates. So Dubai Mall is the big mall. Then you have the Mall of Emirates. The Mall of Emirates, they have a place called Ski Dubai. I haven't experienced yet. I want to seen it a couple of times. It looks awesome. I may do it this time. It's always such a new experience. It's something new to do at Dubai. Right now, they have this deep dive thing that I plan to do. But it's definitely awesome. If you like snow tubing, if you like skiing, they have those big balls that you could put yourself in and roll down a ski slope. It's actually a ski slope in the mall, full-fledged skiing in the mall. So I haven't experienced it, but I definitely would recommend it. Any questions? I don't see anything else in the chat. Next time we do this, we'll probably go back to Zoom so we can have people on and kind of verbalize some of their questions. We'll do this again in probably the next 2 weeks. We'll do a Zoom session. I just wanted to kind of have some people come on and share some of their experience. And I hope that it made you a little bit more comfortable about traveling during the pandemic, because it can be a little scary. It could be a little challenging. So, but I've had people travel. I've been to Dubai probably about 6 or 7 times since the pandemic, since the world shut down. We've had groups travel in October 2020, April, recently September, October, November, and December. And fortunately, everybody traveled. Everybody came back safe. Nobody tested positive with COVID. I haven't had anybody experience that yet. It's always a possibility, but and I would never say it's safe to travel. You have to do what's comfortable for you. But this is what I have experienced in the past 2 years while traveling during this pandemic. If you have any questions, or anything that you think we haven't covered here, feel free to email me. Um, and I look forward to y'all to enjoying Dubai. Somebody asked about the nightlife in Dubai. The nightlife in Dubai is, if you can imagine, I guess, nightlife in any big city like Miami, New York City, nightlife in Dubai is plentiful. Most of the restaurants, nightclubs are back open in full force. They have beach clubs that stay open till 2, 3 in the morning. Recently, we were in Dubai in December. We had 2 young ladies traveling with us. I think they were in their 30s, and I think they came in every night, like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, from partying and being out. So the nightlife is plentiful in Dubai, and it's dope. I mean, from day parties to happy hour to rooftop lounges to nightclubs to the beach clubs. There's plenty of nightlife in Dubai. It's definitely kind of like Miami on steroids. Somebody asked about the ATVs and the desert excursion. So the desert safari tour normally leaves around 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It's pretty much a 6-hour excursion. You kind of go out, and I'll share some videos for that. You go out and do the sand dune bashing, like Fred talked. It's kind of like a roller coaster ride. But as far as the quad bikes, typically that's done at the desert camp. There's normally an extra charge for that. I think it's probably like $50 for about a half-hour ride. I will look more into that and make sure those who are interested in will get all the particulars about that. It's fun. I've done it several times while I was there. Kind of get lost in it. It's a quick ride, but it's a lot of fun. And if you ever want to do it outside of the desert safari experience, you could book it as an excursion and go out on your own too during the day and do it as well, which I recommend. I haven't done that before, but I actually think I want to do that one time, just outside of the desert safari tour, so I won't be as limited. Any other questions? Thank you for joining us. I know it's a lot of information. Like I said, we'll be doing this again in a couple of different formats, something like this, and we'll also do a Zoom where we can be a little bit more interactive, just kind of testing some different things. You're welcome, Essie. Glad to have you join us. It's going to be a first experience for quite a few people, so I'm excited. I hope you are excited as well. Again, we'll be talking again before we leave, a couple of times before we leave, just to kind of update you on things to come. Happy New Year's. If I don't see or talk to you, hope you just stay safe, stay prosperous, stay healthy. This uptick here in the new virus, the new strain is very, very contagious, and it's spread like wildfire. So please be safe. If you got to get it now and get it out of the way before we go to Dubai in March. But have a good evening and Happy New Year's, and we'll be talking soon. Thank you.